So you want to homeschool, but where do you even begin? Hi, I'm Jess from Silo and Sage, and here on this channel, we talk about all things homeschool, homestead, and handmade. And today we are going to talk about 5 things that you should know before you begin homeschooling. So hit the subscribe button and stick around. If you're considering homeschooling, you probably have a lot of questions about how to even get started. But before you even start to think about what curriculum you should buy or what homeschool method you should use, you need to start right here in your head. I know, mindset is like a super trendy term, but you need to wrap your head around the mindset of homeschooling because it's actually different than traditional schooling. This will mean that you're going to have to kind of unlearn a lot of the things that you know about education and probably put aside some preconceived notions about what you think homeschooling should look like. Because homeschooling is really a completely different mindset than traditional public school. If you go into homeschooling expecting that it's going to look the same, it's going to be really hard for you and probably harder for your kids. So if you're thinking about or beginning your homeschool journey, the things I'm going to talk about today will help you to really shift your mindset from the system of education to actual education. The first thing to know is that you have actually been teaching your child from day one. You are more than qualified to keep doing it. Nobody loves your child more than you do. And you don't need a special teaching degree or any kind of special training to homeschool because homeschooling is not school. So I actually used to be an elementary and a preschool teacher, and educating kids in a classroom is a totally different scenario than educating your kids at home. As a home educator, you are not managing 25 or more kids at a time. You're not having to deal with all sorts of different behavioral issues and things that kids are bringing in from what's happening in their home and all of their different educational needs and moving them from one room to another within a large building. You have the advantage of knowing your child inside and out. You know what makes them tick and what triggers them to throw a fit. You know where they struggle and where they really are successful and naturally gifted. You know the things that frustrate them, and you know how they slept last night. You know what they ate for breakfast. You know all these things about them that will help you to be an expert in their education and their specific educational needs. You are actually their best teacher. You maybe taught them how to walk. You helped them to learn how to eat food. Maybe you taught them how to ride a bike. All of these different things that you have actually been teaching your child since they were born or since they came into your home. You are an expert on your child. The second mindset shift is that the goal of homeschooling is not to recreate school at home. So please don't try. Your homeschool should look different from a classroom environment. You don't need to have desks. You don't need to have a strict schedule. You don't need a bell that goes off when you switch from one subject to another. You don't even need textbooks. Now, if some of those things are things that actually work for your family, if your kids enjoy learning at desks, or if they really need a structured schedule for their particular personality and their needs, yeah, do it. But homeschooling can happen anywhere. It can happen on your living room floor. It can happen in your car. It can happen on your back porch or on your swing set or in the library. It can literally happen anywhere. So having a designated space in your house isn't 100% necessary. Sure, you might want it and it might be beneficial, but it isn't necessary. And when you realize that learning isn't confined to a desk or a classroom, you might realize that having a formal classroom space in your home isn't really necessary either. And having a strict schedule that you follow really, religiously every day might not be necessary for you either. The third thing to know about homeschooling before you begin is that as long as you are following whatever local laws that you have for where you live, there really aren't any other rules. You get to decide what your family learns and how you're going to do it. So the very first thing that you should do is look up your local laws. If you live in the United States, the HSLDA is what you want to look for. They will tell you the specific laws for your specific state, and I'll link it in the description below. And if you're outside of the United States, you're going to want to look at the laws for your specific country or region. But the school district you're in does not actually determine what you teach your kids. The state standards do not determine what you teach your kids. Your best friend doesn't determine what you teach your kids, or your mom, or even an account on YouTube or Instagram. You are the one who determines what you teach your kids. So the beauty of homeschooling is that you can do it your way, in the way that works for you and your family. Finding the way that fits your family might mean that it's the opposite of what you thought you would do. It's the opposite of the ideal vision you had of homeschooling in your mind before you began. And it might be the opposite of what your best friend does, or your favorite Instagram account. And that's okay. That's actually really, really good. Mindset shift number 4. Don't go all in with everything for the entire year before you begin. So I mean planning for the year, buying your curriculum, and setting up your space. You want to figure out what works for you. So this might take a little bit of trial and error. And it's not going to look perfect, and it shouldn't look perfect. And it definitely is not going to look perfect before you even begin. So you might get a few weeks into the curriculum that you researched and you were so confident it was going to be the right fit, and you spent a lot of money on, and you might decide it is a terrible, terrible, terrible fit. And then what? You're just out hundreds of dollars, and you've wasted all of this time and everything that you committed to this curriculum. And then you probably will feel guilty if you get rid of it, or if you abandon it, or if you try something new. So don't spend hundreds of dollars on something just because you feel pressured to make a choice, especially to make a choice before you even begin homeschooling. So start out by getting to know your kids and your rhythm at home, because this is going to be different from public school, especially if you are coming from a public school. Like if your kids are leaving public school and coming home to homeschool, give it some time to adjust to being together at home. Read some books, play math games, find the rhythm at home that works for you and your family before you worry about all of those details. And I will link in the description below a blog post that I have about choosing your curriculum that might be helpful for you. The 5th mindset shift is this: book learning is not better than life learning. They both have a lot of value, and they both count as homeschooling. The time that your kids spend baking and gardening or sewing or building something, this is not less valuable than the time that they spend working on their math curriculum or learning how to read. In fact, both of these things are incredibly important for your child's development, and both of them will help your child be a better learner and move forward in their education. Train your brain to notice all the different ways that they learn, not just the ones that look like school. Hands-on life learning experiences can really teach our kids a lot more oftentimes than a textbook can. Are you going to learn how to build a bench by reading about building a bench, or by actually building a bench? If you just read about sewing but you never actually sit down at a sewing machine, are you really learning how to sew? No, it's the same with math and reading. Are you ever learning math that will help you in real life if you don't actually use math in real life? So get in the kitchen and bake with your kids. Have them read the recipe and follow the directions, and look at all of the different math and reading and logic and direction following skills that they need to be learning just to do that one task. Hands-on life learning is such an important part of homeschooling, and it really helps your kids to figure out what they're interested in and to connect with their learning in a very meaningful way. Don't let the details of curriculum and homeschool methods and all these different things that might be swirling around in your brain, don't let that trip you up before you even begin, okay? Start here in your mindset and shift your mindset to a home-based educational life, not just school, and not just education, not classroom, not trying to recreate a classroom and make your house look like school, but a life that is revolving around learning every day in and out of curriculum. Okay, this is the best place to begin, right here in your mindset, shifting all of that. And if you found this video valuable, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so that you never miss any more of my videos. If you want more homeschool support, I actually have a how to homeschool workshop that I'll link in the description, and it will help you get started by, giving you a good foundation and with the things that you actually need and not getting overwhelmed by all of those details. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.